Okay, so recently the governor, John Bel Edwards, miraculously finds a little extra money in the state budget. And he says, you know what we need to do? We need to give part of that to teachers across the state as a pay raise. And the governor's first offer, the number that John Bell mentioned was about $1,000 a year for teachers across the state, which works out to about $20 a week. And Red River United Teachers Union boss Jackie Lansdale said, well, that's not a bad place to start.
But all the teacher unions groups are saying 1,800 is where you need to start at least.
Have the negotiations really begun?
First of all, I think what's going to happen, and I haven't listened to all of the discussions on this, but I will tell you that probably the safest way to do this, and I think the appropriate way, is revenue estimating has to meet and declare a certain amount of money as recurring funds. Y'all have heard that all through the years. You don't want to try to, first of all, one-time money is surplus, and there's only certain things it can be used for, like paying down debt or construction projects. But something that's going to be reoccurring, like a salary increase, must be recognized by the estimated committee on revenue. So that needs to happen first. And then when that amount of money, and I haven't heard the exact total, over $1 million, let's say, to do this pay raise, then I would think the appropriate place for that to happen would be in the minimum foundation program formula, which is the formula for K-12 funding in this state. If it's placed in the formula, Bessie does that, and Bessie sends that formula to the legislature. So that's step 3. And when Bessie sends that formula to the legislature, it's an up or down vote. You don't get to amend it. You don't get to do a lot of arguing about it. It's just you're either for that or you're not. And so if for some reason the foundation formula was not approved, then there would have to be another means of looking at how that teacher pay raise is going to happen. But the danger of ever trying to use one-time money, and I know governors have done it in the past. There's been governors who've done it in the past years. So this is what I always say: when you use one-time money for reoccurring expenses, you're like paying your house mortgage with your credit card. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you've got money in the bank to take care of those salary increases every year. I haven't looked at everything the governor's been proposing, and so maybe I need to ask y'all, has he mentioned how he wants to do the pay raise? Has he mentioned putting in the formula? Because I have not heard any discussion.
I have not seen that. The cost is over $111 million apparently for his raise. My concern is we've seen it across the country. I know you watched it, that teachers have now started to kind of walk off the job with regard to pay, and it's worked in several communities. Do you think teachers in Louisiana are at that stage? They hadn't had a raise, I think, since 2013, a substantial raise. Do you think they're ready in Louisiana to walk off?
I really don't think so, but I will tell you that I support a raise, and not only for the job, the hard job that I see teachers doing day in and day out, and obviously, my career was in education.
General, I'm not sure which name to use. The governor says he's not going to set a target amount until the Revenue Estimating Conference releases a forecast for the economy, and then says the raise would be funded through state general fund appropriations. Is that the way we go?
Well, I think that is with him appropriating a certain amount of money that is the revenue estimating is saying is recurring money, then that appropriation of money could go to the formula in Bessie. Now, that's going to be the discussion. I would think that's the way the governor would want to do it because it's the safest way. And I think right about the time we got cut off, the point is you want to make sure that money is there every year. If it's put outside of the formula, it's just a line item in the budget, and we have done that before, but then that means the next year you have to address it again, you see. And so if it's in the formula, it's safe and it's protected. So that would be the way that I would go. But back to the question about teacher pay raises, I feel like we've got to do a good job of trying to convince and recruit good folks that want to go into the teaching profession. And I just think that is part of it. Is you've got to keep, it's a moving target. You have got to keep salaries moving in a positive direction to entice and try to convince folks that that's a good way to go, that we love teaching. You want to be in the education field, but you also want to make a decent salary. And so those things are always going to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Revenue Estimating Committee will be meeting. The session won't begin until April. They'll probably meet in February and be able to say, look, internet sales are increasing. And, whatever they look at, they're going to be able to tell us how much money is going to be considered reoccurring money.
Miss Jane, we've been through a bunch of special sessions and fiscal cliffs and budget crises and all sorts of things that the governor talked about in his efforts to raise revenue for the state. And at no point in the last X number of years that we faced all these fiscal cliffs, et cetera, did the governor mention, and one of the important things to me is teacher raises. Is it at least interesting to you that now that all the sort of the financial stuff in Louisiana has settled down a little bit, that now right before an election the governor's come up, hey, we got money for teachers, ta-da?
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation about that. I'm good friends with John Schroeder. We talk quite a bit, and I got to tell you, it's been sort of not comical, but my friends that are in the legislature, I said, when y'all finish with all of these special sessions and the fiscal cliffs and all of that, you're going to have aged about 10 years. And I talk with them every morning. They've really been, it's been some tough times for them over these past many special sessions. I just hope they don't have to go into any more. But I'm thinking probably there won't be any more special sessions, and I'm thinking that they're going to go in April, but this is going to be one of the big items, one of the big ticket items, and it's a political season for elections in 2019. So there you go.
Jane Smith, former Bessie member, former everything pretty much.
State legislator, et cetera, et cetera.
Our education guru. Thanks, Jane, for your time this morning.
Good to talk to you.
You bet.